here we are today with several one. Now that's all good. So we are here with Brandon and Liam. I don't know if I actually need to introduce you guys. Everyone knows who you are, right?
Not yet.
Yeah.
Not yet.
Yeah.
Not
Let's get started with the introductions. Brandon, why don't you start?
Hi, I'm Brandon Gaskell. I'm a part-time athlete trying to compete in the sport of CrossFit in Oceania. Past year was my first time at Touring Pro, which is the most prestigious comp that I've done so far. Ended up 15th, which is the rest of my life is spent here in this gym coaching. That's me.
Cool.
Yeah, and I'm Liam. I'm part owner of CrossFit Geo. I've been an owner for the past couple of years, and I was working here since 2016. I've competed at the Touring Pro since 2022. I competed there as an individual twice, and then 2 times on a team as well. And then done down under the past few years as well. And been kind of just in the CrossFit space since like 2016. Just loving it. It's been good.
Yeah. That's amazing. Yeah. Some people would think CrossFit is a sport for some, but for some people this becomes like a home. So I'm guessing you guys have been doing CrossFit for quite a few years now. How has the journey been for you guys?
Yeah, good. It's it starts off not as like I think a lot of people don't start CrossFit thinking like, oh, they're going to make it their entire life. But when I started, I wanted to use it to train for rugby and just to train in other sports. I use it as just like the means to build my fitness. And I think it's a very good program for that. But then, you find yourself kind of falling in love with it a lot more. And I was one of those people that whatever sport I played, whether it was basketball or rugby or, when I did jiu-jitsu as well, it's like you fall in love with training for the sport rather than actually playing it. And then CrossFit I feel is the perfect thing for that, because the sport itself is very close to what you're also doing in the gym every day. So it was just a very easy transition into that. Like I think it just happened very organically, and also obviously everything in your life then starts to fall around that. Like when I started, it was just like a thing I was kind of doing on the side, and I had uni and I was working a job at Woolies as well. And then over time, you're just spending a lot of time here, so eventually you get offered a bit more work, and that kind of builds into it becoming like where you are all day every day. So.
I started in 2020 maybe. My sister was just doing it. She started coming and I kind of followed along. So I wasn't planning on, I was doing it once or twice a week, kind of wake up and have a look at the workout and decide if you want to go or not that morning. But I was playing soccer at the time. So it was just a bit of, I was doing it just for fun, during the week. And then when COVID hit, didn't really have anything else to do. I used it as a bit of like relief for like mental health and just for the fun of it. Like I was just loving it. So I was doing it every morning and afternoon. And then when life kind of went back to normal, I'd be here before school, after school, and just got used to that. Yeah, as Liam says, things just start to fall into place around it. Like I was working 5 nights a week during COVID and stuff, and then I changed jobs to where I was a bit closer to the gym, and then it ended up in 2023 I started working solely at the gym as my only job. So it's been like that since 2023, since I finished school, and that's all I know. I haven't been to uni or anything like that, so that's all I'm doing.
No, that's good. And then I know you touched base, you briefly mentioned about discipline, mindset. We've done one episode a few years ago, but for you guys to get into CrossFit as professional athletes, there's a lot goes behind getting to that level, right? It's the mindset, it's your lifestyle, it's the discipline. What have you guys made changes in all those aspects of life to be able to get to where you are? You guys recently competed in the Down Under Championship, and I believe you guys came first, which is amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you.
What changes have you guys made so far? You competed at CrossFit Games back in 2020. 3. Yeah. So since then, like, how's your journey been? And then I know you've been at Torian Pro. You've working your ass off. I've seen you. I met you guys at Capital Fitness Challenge, which I believe was in 2022. Yeah. So it's been a long time now.
Yeah.
But what changes have you guys made? Like, it's very important for a professional athlete to have those kind of things set right. Otherwise, there are failures. But how do you get up and just tell yourself you have to achieve this and just go after it?
I'll let Liam have a little bit more on this, because with me it's been quite, I don't want to say easy, because it's not easy, but I've had a very, like, ever since I really started competing, it'd be like every month, every 6 months, every 12 months, there's a very linear increase. So like 2022, the start of 2022, which is my first comp down in Canberra and Capital Fitness Challenge. From there to like the Open, I was like way better at the Open. And then from the Open to Down Under, or like whatever my next comp was after that, I was way better. And then, you know, the next year I was at the games, and then I was at Down Under in a team of 3 in 23. And it's just like every year has gotten better, which is kind of how it will continue to progress. But I just loved it, you know. And it was probably the start of this year when a few like injuries started to fall along me, and I had to really change my training because of it, where it really got into like a habit of, okay, like I love doing this because I love progressing and getting better. How am I going to get better as quickly as possible? So I just look at the past 6 months, 12 months, my whole career, like what am I worst at, and what do I need to spend the most amount of time on to get the most out of every day, the most out of every week, the most out of every month. And then you just do that over and over. And then every 6 months, or after every big competition, like we had it after Down Under, or sorry, at the start of this year, like coming up to the Open. And then after the Open, you had another look at like, what do I need to work on? After touring, what do I need to work on? And that's just how you progressively get better. And I really love not having someone telling me what to do every day. It's like I get a general kind of like weekly plan. And then I come into the gym and I know what I'm worst at, and I know what I need to work on. So I'll do that thing. And that's what I love about the sport. And that's what I love about coming in here every day and doing, even though some days it is hard, the motivation's low, but that's the game.
Yeah. I think it's like, like it's very rewarding when you see yourself put the work in to something, and then you get this result in a competition setting where it's like, you know, you something that you used to be weak at, you're then beating other people in, and that's like a very rewarding process. And it's almost like that can take away a bit of the need for discipline after a while, when you can constantly see the result of like doing the things that you suck at. And it's something that I missed for a lot of the early stages of my CrossFit journey. Like, it was, you know, I started in 2016. It wasn't until 2022 that I made a semi-final event. And a lot of that was because, you know, I was working hard, but I was working on a lot of stuff that I was pretty good at already. Like, I spent a lot of time building strength. I liked some high skill gymnastic stuff. I didn't spend a whole lot of time working on my engine or certain movement combos and little details of things that I knew I sucked at, but I would just sort of, you know, go to some local comps and just, I hope that combo doesn't come up. Like, I'll do well in the strength event or something like that. And I think that's where the bit of the discipline early on, when you're trying to get better at something that you suck at, comes into play, because, you know, you come in on like a Tuesday morning and, you know, I used to just suck at burpees, and you just like have to, like, you're just like, no, I have to just like hammer this thing. But then, you know, you do that for 6 months, 12 months. And then before you know it, you're doing well on like burpee workouts. And then that then becomes easy to like want to do burpees every time, because then you don't need the discipline as much. It's just like to kind of get started on something. And then the positive feedback loop just kind of feeds into itself. And I think that's, like, you know, you obviously, the general, like to the average person, the general discipline of like, you know, getting to the gym and that sort of thing, we don't really feel a whole lot of that, because it's the way we spend all of our day. And there's times we don't feel like training, but you can also just view it as a bit of a job. So I think the discipline comes into play when you're trying to get better at the things that you know you should be trying to get better at, and not just like wasting time on things that you're already good at. And I think after a while, that just feeds into itself. So
I mean, with all these being a professional athlete, discipline, motivation when you're feeling down, it's also crucial to have some kind of support, like a partner, family support. How's that been for you guys? Like, I know Lucy, your partner, you guys are each other's biggest supporters. I've seen on social media, which is amazing. You've got your family members, what I've seen as well. Like, do you want to touch base on some of that aspect of how you guys support each other to grow and get better every day?
Yeah, I'm sure Brandon has too. We've just got a lot of people that support us around us. It's just like, but Lucy is definitely my like number one supporter. She's always backed me in everything that I've tried to do within CrossFit, both in working like the business wise and also in the sport itself, and has always been very supportive. My parents, my dad, like they're just always been around it, especially once they started seeing that kind of the next level, like making touring and that, they sort of started to realize, it's not just like a bit of a hobby that he's just doing, like he's doing well at it. But like outside of that, a lot of the support I get, we get from each other. Like, we're always picking each other up. We're always just like getting around each other when things are going well, or just, also getting around each other when things aren't going that well. And I've definitely noticed the past, when do we start training together? Like in 2022 sometime, like it's just, and that relationship's grown. It's like, I get a lot of my support from him, and you just try and give and take in that regard. Like, picking each other up and, getting around each other. I think it's just like that's a big part of where it comes from. And also, our friends like Pete, the other owner of Geo, like he really supports us, and a lot of the members here, they love what we do. They're always coming to our events and watching us, and, we try and give them the support and they give us the support. It's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, 100%. Like, we're very lucky and very blessed to have the support crew we have around us, both in the gym as well as at home. And, but yeah, like he's dead right. Like it's us that are the most, like my biggest supporter is Liam, but also Lucy as well. Like they both feed into, like my daily kind of grind. And, when I'm having a bad day, like sometimes he's not, so then he picks me up during that time, or, we just keep each other accountable. And it's awesome. Also, like we're both very similar levels, but we both have very different strengths and weaknesses, which works to our benefit as well. Because if I see myself doing well in a movement combo or something like that he's good at, like I know I'm doing well, and vice versa. And if I'm doing worse than him in something, I know that's like, that's somewhere that I need to work on. And it's nothing against one another. It's purely from like from a love of the sport, but also a love of each other and stuff like that. So,
talk us through some of the situations like at competitions where you guys have lost. Sorry, that's the wrong word, but haven't performed as you would have expected, right? So there are some heats where if you came last, like what was something that you guys talked to each other and to be able to like get better at the next heat, to be able to get to that stage? Like, can you take us through one or two situations like that?
I've been fortunate enough to have a few times where Liam either hasn't been able to compete, or like when I was at the games, like he came over with me as my coach. So he's been there a lot of the times where I've had bad situations and stuff. But even just having someone there who knows what you've been through, but also like where you're at athletically and stuff like that. It's just so easy to just open up about what's going on, but also it allows you to put yourself into a bit of a better mental state where you're a bit more rational with how you're thinking when you're speaking out loud, rather than just kind of bottling all up inside your head. But there's always going to be situations where you do poorly and you're disappointed with it, but it's gone. The time's gone. Same thing in like a game of soccer. The referee blows the whistle, like can't do anything about it now. So you just got to look forward and make sure that capitalize off something else. But also, fortunately, where the times that we have been at like touring together or down under or whatever, it hasn't meant that much. Like as in like we're not trying to fight for like games tickets and stuff like that. So it's all a learning thing. Like we obviously try and do as good as possible because we want to do as well as possible, but the placing doesn't really matter. It's how you perform and what you take out of it. That is the biggest like benefit from that, and you take that into the next competition. So you get torn down by a workout, but you just think about the next thing, and then you can kind of think about what happened, why you did poorly, whatever that is, going into the next competition, next training cycle, whatever it is. So
Yeah, I think what Brandon touched on there, just having someone that knows exactly the feeling and knows exactly what you're going through. They have the most credibility in a situation where you have done poorly, or, you know, Brandon could say something to me that some other random member here could say to me, and it could be the exact same thing, but I know that Brandon like actually knows what I'm going through, whereas like they could just be saying it to be nice, which is still lovely. Yeah, that's still fine. But it you know, that I know that he knows exactly how it feels on a certain thing. Like, and there's also times where it's like, when we are competing at the same competition, either in a pair or against each other, it's like there's events where one of us will do really well and the other's done like terribly, and it's always just an interesting dynamic for that next like half an hour afterwards, because, you know, the person that's done terribly doesn't want to bring the person that's done well down, and the person that's done well is also like, you know, has the empathy to still know where that other person's at, but they also want to like settle into the high moment as well. And it's always like, we just kind of like, it's always that half an hour is always just a bit funny afterwards, but like not in a bad way, but it's always, and then we just like, you know, move on to we're talking about it. And, you know, like I think of the an example of that is at Torium this year. For me, I didn't do well in the burpee box jump over event that Brandon did really well in. Like he just smoked the thing, and, you know, there was this half hour afterwards where it's like I just had to go and just be by myself for ages, and you know, he's obviously on a high, but then like straight after that half an hour's done, it's just like he's the first person I go to that just like, I was like, bro, I just need to get better at like ski erg and burpee. Like he's like, yeah, bro, I know, like it's just, and I'm like, no, well done, but like we're very good with each other in that way of like understanding where each other's at, giving ourselves space when it's needed, and also getting around each other when it's needed there as well. So I think it's funny because the same thing, but the inverse happened on the first day in the clean event where I bombed out because I was cramping and I like could not finish this workout. And he, who hadn't done many cleans in the past like 12 months, just smoked this workout, and I'm like watching him go over the finish line, like happy, but also just like so livid that I can't pick up this barbell. But then, as he said, like there's a really good photo of us like embracing each other afterwards, where like I was super proud of him and super happy for him, but I was disappointed in myself. So we're never envious of each other for like placing. So if he does better than me, like I don't mind, because I'm really happy for him. But at the same time, that means I know I need to be better. So as he says, it's a great relationship. Yeah, it's a very motivating relationship in that way. Like it's not, you never, like you say, there's no envy. It's like, it's just, and I'm annoyed. I might be annoyed with myself of like, you know, I should have done more of this. Brandon did more of this, and I just did like, and it's a very motivating, you know, like the next 6 months, I'm just gonna hammer this thing. And it's like, if he can do it, like, you know, I've seen him train every day. I know that I can then do it and be good at that thing as well. And it's never like, you know, he's just got it and I don't. It's never that, you know. It's like, so, it's very in that way.
It's amazing. Like you need those kind of people who are supporting you and pushing you to be better every day. Yeah, so that's amazing. We live in a world where there's a lot of comparison we see happening on social media, and that tends to affect a lot of us depending on how you view it and stuff. Like, has there been any time where you found yourselves comparing to others, your journey with others, thinking, why am I not there yet? Or have there been any of those kind of situations you found yourself in?
Yeah, I have definitely, like a lot less nowadays compared to when I was like a little bit younger, sort of in my early 20s. It's just like you have, you know, when you're a teenager, you have expectations of where you're going to be at, you know, at a certain time, and then when you're not there at that time, like it just, and then you're seeing someone else who, you know, looks like they're in a similar situation of life to you that is doing it. You just like get in your head a bit, and you just have to. Like it is literally always just a highlight reel that you're seeing. Like, I know it's very cliche in that regard, but you know, when you see like some, you know, people that are at a stage in life where we're trying to get to, is a perfect example is a CrossFit Games athlete, and like the content that comes out for that level of athlete nowadays, there's quite a bit of content around it. And so you see interviews of like them saying, you know, not like every day is, you know, not what you see on Instagram, all that stuff. And that stuff really helps in that regard. But it's also just, yeah, as I've gotten older, I've just realized that I'm like, it's just such making a comparison to someone like that can be helpful, but you can see something and you know that you should be getting better at that thing, but you just can't let it eat away at you and be like, oh, they are actually better than me in every way. Like, you just have to kind of have this almost like a bit of a border that you put up and just use what's useful. And then, you know, when you do start to feel like that anxiety creep in of like they're you know, why can that person do this and why can't I? You just have to come back to, you know, okay, no, compare yourself to who you were yesterday, compare yourself to who you were last year. Like, that's the only thing you have control over, sort of thing. So I think it's obviously a bit of a cliche thing, but I think that's what's helped me a lot growing older.
Yeah. Has there been any situation for you, Brandon, where you found yourself?
Yeah, tons of times. But there's kind of two ways I see it. The people that are like, I guess, close in the community wise, like in Australia, like competing against them. I'm very proud of like my progress and how I have progressed, like how fast I have progressed. So a lot of the times I'll see myself beating myself up about, you know, someone doing better than me or them making something and me not, or whatever it is. And, but then 6 months, 12 months later, I'm beating them. And like, that's always been a really good motivator for me, just knowing that like what I can do, what they can do. Like and if I can't do it, give me 6 months and I'll be better than them. But then the opposite side is seeing someone, like I went to someone with the game. I went to the games with someone in 2023 who made the games this year, Ty Jenkins, unbelievable athlete. And I hold nothing against him because he's a great guy who's committed his life to it and he's doing what I want to do. And I don't see him as like someone who's, you know, taking a spot away from me, or like I'm not envious of him at all. I see him as like an inspiration, and I'm also very set on like, I know I'm not making the games next year. Like I know it's a long road. So I'm not looking at him like beating myself up like I should be there. It's like, no, I know I shouldn't be there because I know that it's a long road, and it's going to be a long road, but that's the love for it. And that's the hard thing about it. Like it's a discipline of doing what you need to do every day. And that's why not many people do it, because it's so hard. But
yeah. If it was so easy, everyone would do it, right? Yeah. Struggles. Without struggles, I don't think you can grow in life. There would be some struggles that you would have gone through personally, like for you, which has shaped you in the person that you are today and has got you in this position. Would you like to share any of those where it's been like very hard and you didn't know like how to get on the other end during that struggle period? Has there been any situation you'd say?
There's been like a very big kind of things that have happened during my life that I have used as kind of negative motivation in the past, but also that a lot of those things have been the reason why I'm confident in myself as well as confident in what I do. Whether it's it is that negative kind of motivation to keep me coming back every day, or being like, nah, I want to make something of my life to, you know, like show them, or whether it is just purely like I'm sad and I'm like mentally not well, so I'm going to come in and train because this is the only place that I can really clear my head and like enjoy what I'm doing. But I never look at any of those struggles, as you say, like none of those struggles or like positions I've been in my life, I wish never happened or anything like that, because I'm very fortunate for how they have shaped me and how the person I am, I'm very proud of. And without those things, I could be in a very different position, whether it is at uni or whether it is out partying every night, whatever it is, like I'm happy where I am. So yeah.
I think that what comes into play when you are going through some sort of struggle, like what has helped me a lot is my love for training. Like I do this sport to compete in it, and I want to do well in it, and I want to make the games, all this stuff. But I also have had like an innate love for training since I was like 12 years old, and I think that whatever struggle it's been that's come up, whether it's a relationship thing or you lose a family member, whatever it is, like your job gets shaken up, you leave your work, but like all this stuff, I've always had training as a pretty big constant. And I know that I've always believed in myself that if I'm training well and just being healthy and got some sort of structure in that regard, like everything's going to fall into place around it. And I know that sometimes when I'm getting into a bit of a mind frame of like, everything's just all over the shop. And like an example was when I left here in 2023, I had to have a few months away from the place, but I just always made sure that I kept turning up for training, because the first few weeks of not being here, I didn't train as much, and I started being like, where am I going with my life? And it just, just having a bit of structure and routine in that regard, and doing hard things physically just helps you to deal with a lot of the stuff. It helps to quieten the head noise and any sort of anxieties you're having. It gives you a bit of self-confidence in the direction you're headed. And I think that's it's been very valuable for me. So
was there a moment of failure or a heartbreak that almost made you quit the sport? I mean, the answer could be no. I mean, you guys are like pretty dedicated and committed to the sport where this is your escape. Most of the times, anything's happening, this gives you that will, and then it just changes the way you look at things. So I mean, the answer could be no as well. But has there been any situation where you guys have found yourself in?
No, for me, no.
Yeah, like it just comes back to because there might be we just got such a love for the process and understand that it's just like if you have a failure, it's just something to learn from, something to grow from. So I can't think of a moment since I started CrossFit that I've wavered on getting to the goal just because of some small setback, whether it's injury or just just something happens, some sort of life thing changes, or you just I can't think of an example.
So fine. And same with you, Brandon, also.
There's times where like motivation's low, or you're kind of burning out, something like that. But it's also kind of the way we approach it is like it's not an option. Like it's the same thing as turning up to work. Like it's not, like even if you hate it, like it's not an option. Like you're here anyway. Like got to do something. And the more anxious you get around training and like stuff like that, doing the thing and committing yourself more and more to the thing will make you less anxious. So like it's as Liam said a couple times before, that's like a positive feedback loop of like something gets hard or training gets hard, and then you commit more to it and you get better at it. So you get like you get less anxious, and then life gets better and life moves on, and then it's a very rewarding job, and like it's a hard thing to do, but it's a very linear if you're getting better very linearly, where a lot of things like where you're trying to make success out of is not like that. It's not linear, and it's very hard. Like I commend anyone who does something like that. But so
and as you, with so many competitions coming up, you're not training for the CrossFit Games next year. Is that correct? Or are you planning on competing next year at the CrossFit Games?
Well, we're training to be as good as possible, but I don't think either of us will be at the level of making the CrossFit Games, because it is very selective. It's top 3 in Oceania, and that's pretty well guarded at the moment. And not only is it well guarded, but there's another 10 people who beat us at Torian who are doing the same thing as us, who are committing every hour of their day to be as good as possible. And it's very hard to not only get better than them from where they were last year, but get better than them from after a 12 months of more training. Like it's a very hard thing to do, to try and leapfrog someone like that. So no, I don't think either of us will be good enough for the CrossFit Games, but Tory next year, like we'll give it a red hot crack, and we have our own goals of what we want to get out of next year compared to like the year just past, Tory just past. But obviously top 3 at Tory is a very big goal. So.
Yeah, but you're just mentioning like it's a tough competition. There would be. Do you guys feel the pressure? You guys have competed in a lot of competitions so far, so wouldn't say you're a rookie anymore. Do you still feel that pressure? Like you have to get there, you have to beat, there's a lot of competition? Or do you guys just have your own goals, work towards a goal, whatever happens, we are going to put everything in and see where it takes us? What's the mindset that you guys go with?
Liam's really good with just running his own race and stuff like that. I use a lot more like it's extrinsic motivation, like motivation from peers and actual placings and stuff like that. Like I know if I look at a workout that 15 people will be better than me at this workout, if I can beat 4 of them, like I'm super happy. But if like Liam will approach a workout and be a lot more and not look at it that way, look at it more of like, if I do the best that I think I can possibly do, like that's his like then he's happy with that. So it is like I love the pressure because that makes me perform, and I love like a bit of anxiety around stuff like that, especially at Down Under this year. We were talking about it having our whole goal was to win. So it was it didn't matter how we felt we went. It only mattered how we placed. So if we did really well for how we think we did, but we came 5th or 6th, like we would have been disappointed. But if we did poorly to what we did in practice, but still won, like then we're happy. So, it was a very different kind of like how to find motivation and how much stress you were under and stuff like that. But I'm getting better at using the stress and like pressure, but I really like that.
Yeah. I really find a lot of like comfort and management of my anxiety around competition with like fully just focusing on the things that are in my control. And when I was a bit younger, I used to get a bit more like, look at the leaderboard or like, and it was, I just found across the years that it's not a good use of my energy, because it just makes me just a bit more jittery and everything. And I'm constantly trying to like calm myself a bit more in competition. And I think that, if I'm in a workout and I'm not like, to say that you're just trying to do the best you can doesn't mean like you're always giving yourself a pat on the back. Like, if you say I want to hold, 1600 on the throw, and I want this transition to be no more than 8 seconds to the bird, like that sort of thing, and you fall off that, you're very disappointed in yourself still. You still have motivation to do well in that regard. But like, I've always found that if I'm trying to focus on that and my execution of an event, and I let myself, the guy in the lane next to me, oh no, he's holding like 1800, like it's just, it just doesn't, sometimes if I let that change what I'm trying to do, or I let like other external factors affect me too much, it just becomes too much to think about, like, and it just kind of sends me and I get way too jittery and I don't execute things as well. And even though like recently at Down Under, like Brandon said, we had this big focus on wanting to win and everything. And there's still times where it's like, like I didn't do well in this clean event. And even though, we won the event, I still wasn't happy, but because like I looked terribly, like, and it was like a hard thing to get my head around, but it was like, and I just think it's just an innate thing of it just really didn't go well. We still won, but I was still not happy. Like, luckily he carried me, but it's not, and that's how I like to compete. We make this joke of all the time, like, he likes having like this kind of this confidence, and he likes being a bit more like, you know, bit of trash talk and that sort of thing. And that works really well for him. It doesn't work well for me. I like being a bit quieter, a bit more anxious, and a bit like, but that's what makes me zone in and perform and execute well for me. So yeah, it's just interesting.
Yeah. Hey, you just mentioned about trash talk. Do you want to give some examples of trash talk?
He's always in the comments.
I'm not.
That's all right.
It's the back room. The back room trash talk is always good. Like at Down Under, everyone is a bit less like on edge than Victorian. Victorian, there's a bit more like people keeping to themselves and stuff like that. Because some people are in a sense like me, they feel the pressure and stuff, so they're a bit more anxious and closed off because of that. Some people just like to close themselves off thinking about the workout, stuff like that. But at Down Under, there's a lot more fun. There's a lot more, a lot less pressure, a lot less stress. So there was a lot of trash talk through the boys at the back, which I love. Like I get around that a lot. And yeah, it's good fun. And it does lighten the mood a little bit, but it also gets you like excited. And I don't have any specific examples, but
Yeah. Do you want to put it out there now? Not
Yeah.
yet. Okay. Oh, yeah.
Next time, we'll just mic him up. And,
The mic down, that's the best way to hear it, is the back and forth. They are.
but you got to do it secretly.
Yeah.
You can't let someone say you have a mic on.
Yeah, because otherwise they're going to try too hard.
Yeah.
You also mentioned about the Down Under Championship. Was there a feeling during the competition that you didn't expect to have? And you're like, oh my God, could be bad, could be good, positive, negative, could be anything.
Well, I didn't know if I could finish the third day, because like I injured my wrist quite bad on the clean event, and everyone knows about it. No, I was just like I was very stressed, and this clean event was on the Saturday night. And then the Sunday morning, we had this like handstand walking event first up, and it was meant to be pretty fast paced handstand walk, like a sprint style handstand walk. And I was there in the hotel room beforehand, like I couldn't hold the top of a push up, like very painful. And I got this X-ray done afterwards, and it was like this like very bad sprain, avulsion fracture thing. And so I'd done a good number on it, but it was like this feeling of we're doing so well, but I couldn't enjoy it at all, because I'm just like, am I even going to be able to do this event? Like, am I going to be the reason that we fall off this lead or something like that? We were like decent, like we were ahead, but I was still, if we'd done terribly, like we wouldn't be ahead. And then it was just like in the warm up area, I'm just trying to kick up, and I would walk like 3 or 4 steps in the handstand, have to come back down because the pain was too much, and got it treated a few times. And then it's just, that feeling was just not a nice feeling, but like adrenaline's an amazing thing. Like once you get out there, you can just like it barely felt it when I was doing it. And then like just afterwards, after the event, you're just like they're in a lot of pain again. But like I knew that if I could get through that handstand walk event, that, the last event was like some cleans and that. And I knew I did the most aggressive thing on it that I could do. And I knew anything beneath that, I could finish off too far. So
yeah. At that moment, did you think like probably it's best to not do to make it worse, or were you like, I'm just gonna go through it, we'll see how it goes?
There was never that was never on the cards of like, I don't want to mess myself up for next. Like no, that was not a thing. It was just like I just wanted to be able to do the workouts. Like I didn't care if it was like, I didn't care what I felt like on Monday morning. It was just like just get through them and not let him down, not let myself down, and try and just have a strong finish. So
the only real difference that I really felt is what I touched on before, which is coming up to like touring this year, which is the biggest comp I've ever done and still have ever done. You'd finish a workout and you've done it in training, or you've kind of replayed it in your head of like, what timing do I want, and if you feel like you executed it well and you're happy with how you executed it, you were happy. And that was your, that was like where your happiness lied, and your, like how proud you were of each workout. But coming to Down Under, it was like, it didn't matter if you were happy, it was how you executed. So that was a very different level of stress that, I haven't felt before. And I'm really happy that we did feel, because, hopefully in the next few years, we'll be feeling that, trying to battle for the top 3 spots, top 4 spots, whatever it is at the time, to get to the games. And that's how we're going to have to feel, which is like, it doesn't matter how you feel, it's if you executed, and if you got a good placing. So that was a really good experience to have something like that. But also for it to be like a little bit less pressure than something like touring, to where we could still enjoy it. So it was a nice kind of mix of the two, for when it is just purely work and purely, like that's a very different paycheck year to year if you make the games to where if you don't. So it'll be interesting to see how we'll learn from that and what we take from our previous kind of competitions and stuff. So
Yeah. And talk to us about the feeling of standing on the podium at the Down Under. So all this efforts got you to where you were hoping to be. What was that feeling like?
I walked to my car after the last event, and I just took all my bags back and I chucked in my headphones and I was listening to some music, and that was like a really euphoric moment because I was by myself and I was very, very content. And it was the first time where I really felt like, far out, like this is 5 years kind of in the making of like the 4 years of like wanting this goal. And this is the first kind of, I finally felt like I've like earned something like that win, but not only a win, but in a high level comp with competitors that I've looked up to for a long time, who have been in the CrossFit space for longer than I've been alive, kind of thing. Like that was a really cool feeling. Like standing on the podium as the only team on the podium who went through the whole qualifying. Like we were there for the qualifiers and we made it through on the qualifiers, and we were the top 3 teams there the whole weekend, and the other 2 teams that were kind of battling for first, second and third were invited there. So that was a really cool feeling of being like, yeah, like these guys were invited, but we've just dusted them up, and that was pretty cool. But
yeah, I think like that was a cool feeling. When we're actually on the podium wasn't kind of where I had my kind of good feeling about it, because I sort of was a bit tired by that point, and I had to like get back to Sydney and like get ready for coaching Monday morning. But it was walking out for the last event, and you've got the win pretty locked up, and they had this mad like light show going on, and it was really a cool moment where there was like there was no pressure and you could really enjoy this event, and that was where I had that moment of being like, we've done this, like that was mad. We're walking out and like they're playing music, and like Max Lees does this like backflip, and I'm just seeing, I was like, oh my god, that was pretty cool. And I'm like looking around the crowd, this is pretty cool, this is a cool moment. And yeah, so that was where I had that feel. Not really on the podium, I just kind of wanted to get home. But
Yeah, it would have been that tiring 3 days. Yeah, I can understand.
Yeah.
Everyone likes the view, but no one wants to climb the ladder. What does your training look like when you have to compete? I know you guys are at the gym, solid few hours every day, showing up no matter what it is. If it's negative, positive, sad, happy, showing up, training every day, what does that look like for you guys? How many hours in a day do you train? Do you guys have your programming set, or as Brandon mentioned earlier, he knows his weakness, he'll come in and just train on that, trying to make sure he's better at it again. Along with the diet, the rest, the mental exercises, because it's not only physical, it's all about internal and mental as well. So how do you guys deal with that?
It's having a lot of structure to how you set your weeks up is important. I think that a lot of people see the hard part of like, they're on the floor sweating, like in a puddle of sweat, and just like they finish this 40-minute, we're like, oh, that's the hard thing. And it's like, that is hard, that's part of it. But it's also like everything else that you set up in your life to make that achievable is also part, like the structure that you have to make sure you're getting to bed on time, make sure you're eating enough through the day, make sure, you're not someone who, like, we're not like party animals really best times, like, so it's not like we have to like go give up all this party. It's not that, but it's more just like making sure that the rest of your life will set up to support what you're trying to do competitively, whether it's like, work, like we there's a lot of things that we say no to work wise, even to make money, like to make more money so that we can like have more time to train and that sort of thing. It's that sort of stuff that also plays into it. But I think that what we touched on earlier about like specifically within the competitive scene of some people that might be, trying to make it to the next level, but stuff that I used to do, avoiding doing weakness work and actually hammering on stuff that you really just don't enjoy doing and don't like doing because you suck at it. That's where the hard part of training comes in. But, if you really want to do well, this sort of thing, the training intensity part, all that stuff, that's just a bit of like, you just have to do that. Like, if you don't want to do that stuff, like, why are you trying on this, like, but the other stuff around it to support that is also part of the hard thing, So, yeah.
Yeah, like as Liam says, the structure to your week is really important. Like I was mentioning before, like you set the period of time, whether like the most like the latest one was after touring. I looked at my performance at touring, but also the few months beforehand, and like what do I need to work on? What are my weaknesses? And then I have a chat to Luke Starr, like our coach, but also together, like we just bounce things back and forth and come up with like, okay, Monday, this is what I roughly want to do. Tuesday, this is roughly what I want to do. And it'll be like, like Monday will be like, I want to get a zone 2 run in, but I also want to do my rehab to, because I want to do a bit of lifting afterwards. And then I want at least a Metcon in and some gymnastics capacity work, something like that. And then you come in and you have a schedule of like, okay, like by 11:30, I want to be starting my rehab so I can start lifting by 1 p.m. or something like that. And that's the grueling part of it, is doing that for 6, 12, 18 weeks in a row. Because it becomes very monotonous and just mentally tiring. But yeah, we'd be working recently a bit less than what I've done the past couple of years, but especially him. But our general load, like training during the day, is like 3 to 4 hours, probably averaging out of the 6 days that we train. Like a lot of that is warming up, rehab. Like we spend ages on rehab every week, just so we can perform in either when we need to at competition, so like just so we have that backlog of rehab and trying to make everything good, or so we can work on something, whether that's lifting or whether that's gymnastics because my shoulder's bung, or squatting because my knee's bung or something like that. So that's a lot of the like what we do during the week.
I forgot to mention that part of it, to the rehab stuff. Like that's a massive thing of like, we're both quite good at, like, there's some people that, they'll get a certain issue, and everyone's got niggles and injuries and stuff that come up. But, it's just that, you can't afford yourself to have to take like, never do a certain movement again because it just like plays you up too much. You have to just have this mentality of like, I need to figure this thing out. Like, if lunging is killing my knee, I'm going to spend like an enormous amount of energy trying to figure out like a way that I can lunge or a way to fix it, or he had his shoulder, I've got knee issues, which like whatever it is, it's just like you have to have the mentality of this injury doesn't stop me, I'm going to work around it for a bit, and just like it's depressing, you can't do certain things. But
I went through that phase myself when I was telling about what I went through and stuff, and then I felt a bit disappointed. I was like, okay, I don't want to just activate anything, so I've tried to change my training a little bit, but hopefully getting back into it. But yeah, that's one of the aspects, like probably me, and I think there could be a few other people who would be going through the same thing as well, where something happens with your injury, like if anything goes wrong, like, and I started feeling any pain, I get very disappointed, and I tend to like just put myself down, and I used to do that, but yeah, found my way back. How important is it, like with the self-talk with injuries, as you mentioned, like you have to get obsessed, like you have to figuring out a way to be able to see like how can you make it better, how can you make the pain go away and stuff. But yeah, is there anything else that you would want to advise to people who would be going through something similar in terms of injuries and stuff? Of course, they can work with exercise physiologists, or like get it, if it's very severe, get it first checked with the doctors or specialists or something. But is there, like with the injuries, I know you mentioned about the wrist, were there any injuries that you both went through personally where it was like you had to put in a tremendous amount of work to be able to get back to normal?
Yeah. Like I mentioned, we like I had a pretty bad knee thing. I've had knee surgery before and all that stuff. Like Brandon's had his shoulder that he was working on, but it's just, you know, I'm also not here saying like, oh, push through the pain or so like you got to be smart about it. You got to be, like you just said, like obsessed is a good word, like to have of just like figuring out how to still do certain movements and try to get it as pain free as you can. And, you know, being smart with your load management around certain injury periods and that, like, you know, if you've got a shoulder issue, you're not still trying to do 150 handstand push-ups a week. Like you pull everything back and adjust things so that you can still get some intensity in similar movement patterns, but not like, not aggravate it too much. That's a very important thing. Having like someone that's a good practitioner, you know, physio, exercise physiologist, chiropractor, like someone that's switched on enough to understand the movements and isn't just going to say to you, oh, snatching hurts, just stop snatching. Like, it's just like, that's not helpful. You know, having someone that you trust that can help you work through those things is very important. Having a mentality as well of like it's as much as the practitioner will help you, it is your body and you have to figure it out. And the practitioner is there to kind of like guide you and give you ideas and like, oh, try this thing, or like, sometimes people get caught up in taking what a physio says to them as gospel. And it's like, this physio 10 years ago told me that lunging was bad for your knee, so I've just never lunged again. It's like, okay, it's like, so this physio has told you how to treat your body for the rest of your life. You're going to listen to everything. It's like they don't have every answer, right? Like they're trying to help you figure it out and get to the bottom of certain issues yourself. So I think that, just having a bit of an obsession and like, you know, it is very demotivating when you spend time rehabbing something and, you know, 8 weeks later, it's like, you know, but telling yourself, maybe the guy's getting better, but then it's just like, it's not like, it's just, you just have to just stay the course and just trust it. Like, you know, okay, maybe this thing hasn't worked. Let's try something else. Like, what's the next thing? What's the next, like never giving up in that regard.
Yeah.
You know?
And there's also a mental aspect to it as well. Like, that's physical, but then what you tell your body tends to listen. So if you're not really telling, yourself, like, this is getting better. Yes, we're doing the work. It's getting better. Don't think it's gonna be that easy to recover.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like, you gotta, you do have to tell you. Like, as much as I say, like, oh, you know, the positive talk, like sometimes you get to a stage and it's like, oh, it actually isn't getting it, but like, it's still very important. You just have to keep yourself up. Yeah. Otherwise, you get so down in the dumps about it. Like, it just seeps into other aspects of your life, and you just. So you'd understand that. It's just like, having this mentality of like this constant progress of, you know, I use an example of with this knee, it felt like it wasn't getting better for ages, like, you know, and like 12 months after the injury had happened, like still I get like, I'm still getting these weird little tweaky things, but it's important to say, to tell myself that it's like, oh, my knee's still bad. It's like, it's not nearly as bad as what it was. Like, It was like, it used to be bad to the point where I couldn't do any squatting. Now it's only like, if I don't focus on this thing, I don't drive my knees, like whatever it is, it's still heaps better. And just reminding yourself of those details of its own, of the improvement of whatever injury you have, like, it's important.
Yeah. And I can absolutely relate that, having gone through some of that stuff myself last 12 months. Putting yourself down, and then you just have to, like, no one else is going to come and help you. It's you have to figure it out. You have to talk to yourself, you have to talk yourself out for a very long time. I didn't do that to myself, and but that's okay. You live and learn.
What's one of the advices that you've been given that you think has changed your life, and it's still like it's stuck with you for the rest of your life?
You go first. Sorry. Obviously Liam's been there for my whole CrossFit career. And I've always looked up to him as someone who's quite wise and, like just been through what I'm going through, or at least have been through. And, like he knows, he has like a bigger perspective on where I'm at, in my career. And the thing that stuck with me the most early on was in 2020, 2022, I missed out on making the top 8 for Torian as like 16, 17s. I was 16 at the time. And we had a chat about he was like, look, like this, I know this is really disappointing for you. And it was the first kind of, I was always the young kid and the kid who's beating the people in the class. And then I go and do my first comp at, down in Canberra, and I come second only to someone who was way fitter, way older than me. And the only reason he was there is because he couldn't do a bar muscle up kind of thing. And he should have been in the elite category. But, so I never had like a failure. And it was the first time that I had failed. So we had a chat about it, and he's always like, look, like you're looking to next year, like you might make Torian and like that will be like a really big thing for you. But like, that's not, once you pass that, it's like, you can't think of anything in the teen category because you'll be, let's say top 6 in Oceania or something like that. And then you go into the next year and you're versing everyone. Like you're not versing someone who's 16 and 17, like you're versing everyone. So it's a really big drop off from being, which it turned out to be. I went to the games that year, like in 2023, and I was top 7 in the world. And like, and then the next year it was like, you're nothing. Like no one knows you. You're not even top 7 in like your region. Like you're in Sydney, like you're nothing. So it was mentally preparing myself for in 2022 when I really started thinking about like doing this like professionally, and like this is what I wanted to do. Having that mindset of it's a very long road, but also it's an unrewarding road for a very long time. And you just got to be like, it's a 5-year plan, and I'm working for the 5-year, 10-year plan, 15-year plan. Not, I can't get too caught up with what's happening in the moment. That was one of my biggest like things that I really latched onto through my career. I can't think of anything else at the moment, but
yeah. No, I can't think of any major things like outside of little small like nuggets of information you might get from certain coaches, but like the one thing that's kind of it's a little bit unrelated. It's just about competing when you're sick or just not, or like getting through things when things aren't perfect. Essentially, I was in my year 12 rugby team, and we had this coach Darren Junee, and I remember before this one rugby game, he was I was like really crook the whole week leading into it. I had this like wheezing cough and everything, and I was like, we were warming up on the field, and I was constantly coughing, like I could barely run and all that stuff, and I went up to him. He was like one of the coaches of the team. I was like, sir, I can't play today. Like I'm very sick. And he's like, yeah, I can see, I've heard you coughing like the whole warm up. What? And he was a really good rugby player. Played for the Roosters, played for Australia and everything. And he said, just, one thing that this coach told me, we're going out to verse such and such. And he had this story and he was like, your opponents over there, like, they really don't care that you're sick. So you just got to like pump some Ventolin and then just like get out there and play. And I was like, I was just not expecting him to say that. I thought he'd be like, we'll find you a sub and everything. But like, it just completely reframed. And I had this really good game after that. And it just completely reframed this feeling of like, I just don't think I can even like run onto the field and it's just like, it really highlighted like the importance of just your mindset when you're going into things. And, we try and have this, you have this acceptance that nothing's ever going to be perfect, and you never have this like, perfect setting in competition where you're going to be able to like fully showcase like everything you've worked for. There's always going to be some little tidbit, but just being okay with that, like I think was important. And it's long-winded story, but
that's beautiful. And that's what it is about. Like life, you'll have challenges, struggles. You just have to keep going, and in the end, yes, you'll have people supporting you externally, but you have to be your own supporter, like the biggest cheerleader, no matter what situation you are in. Is there any advice that you would like to give to anyone, just in general, who are going through some tough times in life, wouldn't say tough time in life, but just about wanting to get back into being active. If someone's going through an injury, how fitness can help, or why should people consider being like just doing some activities every day?
Yeah, I think it's very important just for your health and longevity, obviously for physically, but mentally as well. We touched on earlier, I've always held in my mind that like if I'm training and have that structure and routine there, like everything else falls into life around it. So I think that, you know, whether you're, you know, training to compete in a sport or training just for health, like just make sure you have this daily habit of doing something and moving, and you just feel so much better for it, and never wait for motivation. Like the discipline kind of has to be there a bit, and like a lot, sorry. And yeah, as soon as you have that as part of your daily routine, I think that just like, yeah, you'll be able to manage things so much better. And I'm not trying to say that as like, oh, just start training and everything's going to be great. Like, it's not like, there's obviously still things you have to deal with, but I just think you're much better prepared for things that come up in life if you are just, if you have some sort of physical practice you're doing. So yeah.
My biggest kind of advice always is a saying, which is, it's never tomorrow. There's always going to be something you're looking forward to. So there's always going to be like a goal that you're going towards, which is a great thing. But the main thing is make yourself proud today and enjoy what you have today. Because if you're always chasing, if you're always looking forward, if you're always hoping that it's the next thing that's going to make me happy, you're never going to be happy. Which is like, I love what I do, and I love working towards the goal of, being professional in the sport, and, like it being my livelihood and stuff like that. But like, why would I wrap myself up in that if it's not making me happy and I'm not enjoying it? Where if making, the top 8 next year is going to make me happy, and then making the games next year, the year after that, is going to make me happy, it isn't, because there's always going to be, I'm making the games now, but I was 25th at the games. I wasn't top 20. So you're never going to be satisfied. So I think it's never tomorrow. So you should always be kind of thankful of what you have today and make the most of what the people and what you have around you. Everyone goes through tough times to try and make the best of it. And
yeah. I mean, without tough times, if there were only good times in life, you wouldn't know how to appreciate good times without the tough times, actually. So, yeah.
Without the rain, you won't appreciate the sunshine.
Absolutely.
Another thing that I've heard is it's always cringe until you're doing well, which is, it's always, people always look at you with like, and just be like, oh, look at this person, like committing so much of their life into something that, they'll never do, or, you've started up an Instagram account because you're wanting to do something, you're a photographer, or it's always cringe when you haven't done what you're looking forward to. But once you're there, then people will look at you and be like, oh, they're so lucky. Absolutely. They're so lucky that they're in this position. It's like, no, I just had 4 years of being looked at as being cringe and being like that loser or something like that until people look up to you and people respect you, that then you're lucky, but
absolutely,
you always got to battle through that
very true. Awesome. Well, I really appreciate your time. Well, thank you so much.
I know, thank you. That was awesome.
Yes,
it's good to catch up.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thanks, bro.
Yeah.